Dr. Lupel, the Vice President of the International Peace Institute, Minister Anne Lin of Sweden, our colleagues. I would like to thank the International Peace Institute and the government of Sweden for organizing this symposium. Your stewardship in the international realm is deeply being appreciated. At the outset, it is prudent to recognize that although progress has been slow in implementing the aspirations of Resolution 1325, some progress has been made to advance women, peace, and security agenda. However, colleagues, it goes without saying that more still needs to be done to fully implement the provisions of Resolution 1325. We need to remove barriers that continue to prevent meaningful progress towards the full implementation of the women, peace, and security agenda, regardless of a well-established normative framework. South Africa recognized this challenge, and thus we champion the UN Security Council Resolution 2493 in October 2019, in which we urge the full implementation of all commitments made on human peace and security. Colleagues, the current prevailing global situation, triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic, has evidently added a new dimension to the advancement of this noble objective. The questions that we should ask ourselves is, how do we proceed with achieving this very noble goals amidst a global pandemic, which has not only exposed but deepened the structural inequalities between men and women, from the health to the economy, from security to social protection, and in the main, the diversion of much needed resources from many peace processes to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. Program Director, we concede that the virus has provided us with an alternative on the future of work. In addition to your normal physical meetings, interactions can take place virtually, like what we are doing right now. However, proper ICT infrastructure and facilities must be made available for women to participate in these type of meetings, such as the negotiation and mediation processes. We must be convinced that the issues of for such interaction, noting that some states do censor or limit interaction between its citizens and the outside world. However, we must be very cautious not to exclude human physical interaction by using virtual interactions. Virtual interactions, colleagues, have the advantage of allowing high number of participants instead of only a select few that normally would have been the case when traveling to meeting venues is involved. That is evidenced by the high participation in virtual meetings during the COVID-19 pandemic, and therefore it is our submission as South Africa that the pandemic presents an opportunity to broaden participation of women peace builders. Colleagues, the issue of financing women peace and security activities remains critical for South Africa. States, regional organizations, and relevant international organizations can and should play a greater role in securing financial resources to support inclusive peace processes and for women involvement in peace building during and beyond the pandemic. The allocation, therefore, Program Director, of a certain percentage of the official development assistance directed to conflict-affected countries to gender equality and women empowered programs, which include women peace and security activities, should be maintained and encouraged during and beyond the pandemic. Similarly, a certain percentage of funding for peace building activities undertaken by the UN Peace Building Fund should be dedicated to women peace and security activities. And it is our recommendations that these should be aligned to the national action plans or equivalent frameworks, which must be accompanied by dedicated budgets. In terms of leadership of women, evidence provides that women are in the forefront of dealing with the challenges faced by women during the COVID-19 pandemic. They are the majority in the health sector and informal economy, At the same time, however, few has been included in national COVID-19 response plans. Colleagues, it has unfortunately been reported that during the COVID-19 pandemic, more women and girls have been subjected to gender-based violence. This vulnerability was identified by women activists and also by the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, who called for a national COVID-19 response plan to address gender-based violence. It is therefore critically important that women and girls in conflict-affected situations and frail situations who are prone to gender-based violence are provided therefore with the necessary assistance, particularly sexual and reproductive health services. It is critically equally so that peace processes continue to include active participation of women at all levels, colleagues. The leadership of women could and should further be strengthened by regional and global networks, coordinating efforts, sharing of experiences, and best practices. Looking ahead, and in terms of the commitments for practical implementation as we begin the 75th session of UNGA and beyond, South Africa wishes to see the following. Firstly, the continuation of the commemoration of the anniversaries of the Beijing Platform for Action and Resolution 1325 into 2021. Secondly, the implementation of targeted and achievable quotas for women representation and participation across the peace continent. Thirdly, the intergenerational interaction with more involvement of young women within the peace dialogue. Fourthly, the finding of solutions regarding the sustainability of the resourcing financially of this very noble intent. Fifthly, colleagues, enhancement of partnership between governments and non-state actors, in particular women NGOs. Lastly, colleagues, we are obviously looking at supporting undertaking of more research on the impact of the global nature of health pandemics on the human peace and security agenda. As I conclude, we reiterate as South Africa that any transformation approach requires strengthened monitoring, evaluation, and coordinating measures in implementing this very noble agenda. Thank you very much, Program Director.